Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It is a basketball week around here, talking more hoops than we have. Might not have hoops to talk about on Monday around here. Maryland, the only men's team in the draw. Obviously, Towson with a tough Connecticut draw, as well as the Maryland Terps on the ladies' side in the tournament. This guy covers the ladies and the men's and tends to stick to the smaller schools, and there's not a whole lot of that left in this year's tournament, although UMBC gave it a little run last weekend. Robert Canady joins us from Compass Point Golf and, of course, Buckets and Birds, about to do azaleas and all that good stuff and better weather down there at Compass Point for the 36 holes in Pasadena. But a final throw at basketball here, and honestly, Robert, I've talked about this with everyone all week. What a setup for Maryland, right? Like, these NCAA people, or NACC people, as I like to call them, they sure set up a tournament here that if Maryland can survive this weekend, and that remains to be seen with Belmont and LSU, it would be a fascinating weekend next weekend with Duke and Michigan State all being in the same building, right?
Yeah, you really couldn't ask for a better opportunity than that. When before the brackets were even unveiled, I think everyone kind of had their eye on that potential trip to Washington, regional, and sure enough, they got placed in that bracket, and it's in their hands to do it. They're going to have a tough test against Belmont. Of course, the way they've played the last month of the season, they shouldn't be looking past anyone, but they definitely better not be looking past Belmont, or they'll be one of those first-round upsets, and then, potential if they do go against LSU with the coaching situation there really up in the air, that would be interesting. So it's there for them to have a really big weekend in the regionals, make it back to the Sweet 16 in their backyard, and that would be something to get excited about in this area.
Well, and I think that's the only thing there will be that anybody can get excited about. Beating Belmont and losing to Yale or losing to LSU, God forbid that Thursday night they're out of the tournament, right? And we're sitting here saying Turgeon lost a play-in game against Belmont. And I can make fun of Belmont all day, but I watched them play on Tuesday night out in Dayton, and a credible team. But more than Belmont, let's talk about the Terps, Rob, because that thing on Thursday in Chicago against Nebraska, I said they should have been forced to shuck corn the whole way home. I mean, I don't know what that was, but I know what they've done the last month has not been very representative to give any of us confidence that Belmont doesn't have the ability to out them on Thursday night.
No, I mean, that was just, that was the last thing you wanted to see, the first round of the tournament. That was kind of a new season for them to get over the last, 4 to 5 games that they didn't finish real strong with in the regular season. So the Big Ten tournament was another season for them to make a good run and, at least get to the finals, would have been a really good setup for the NCAAs. But to lose to Nebraska like that, be out in the first round, and then all the negative talk starts about Turgeon, and they got to sit on that for a week, and now another new season starts this Thursday. Against a team that they should beat on paper, but I think it adds pressure to them. I think if they come off a fairly successful Big Ten run, they could have come in on a confidence and high note. And, despite everyone saying that they're looking forward to this as a new start, and I think there's got to be some self-doubt there among those players, especially with that many young players that are involved in the rotation, and the lack of success they've had over the last several years in the tournament. It's got to be in the back of their mind, whether they say so or not. So it's a big one on Thursday for sure.
Well, you say added pressure. We've known all along this was going to be the pathway for Turgeon, no matter how well they did. If they went into this tournament as a 2 or 3 seed with those crazy kind of expectations like they did during the Suleiman Diamond Stone era, it does hype up expectations, but I think it's even made more so by the way they've drawn this bracket up the last couple of days, where the visions of Duke and Michigan State, and I saw the ticket prices down in D.C. are outrageous, and that's because of Duke, obviously, but I would think that the notion that Maryland could have a comeuppance here to have a chance to play Duke, be a part. That's what everyone here dreams of, right? They have Duke envy, but everybody in the tournament has Duke envy right now because they're the best team in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one. You hate to see yourself in that bracket, but you love to see yourself in that bracket. And as far as throw the NCAA tournament out, if they were to get that far against Duke in the final, the Maryland fans love nothing more than a chance to go up against Duke, in the old ACC days and a chance to hate on them one more time. And, there's a lot of basketball to do before that would happen over the next 2 weeks. But, that would set up as, probably one of the most, anticipated showdowns for Maryland in the tournament, since going back to the championship year, probably, the year they won it.
The players themselves have a lot at stake as well. I mean, the freshmen are coming back for the most part. I mean, I don't think Jalen Smith's going anywhere. But obviously, this is the end of the road for Bruno Fernando, right? So the notion that a loss to Belmont would be, or Yale would be the way he's going to go out this weekend, I don't know that it ever penalizes them once they start sweating and running around and doing their workouts for the NBA scouts. But a nice little run here certainly would help his stock. It wouldn't hurt it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. There's every year, in the past, we've talked about whether, who was going to go, who was going to stay, and I agree. I think he's definitely, there's no way he comes back. The scouts, I've seen them at the Maryland games several times this year. Watching him and others, and so they pretty much know what they're going to get in him. But you'd like to see him do well on the big stage. Against the top teams in the country, whether it's Belmont or whether it's Duke down the road. It's a little different test that he would face against Duke than he'll face against Belmont. They're not real huge. They shoot the ball really well, so it's not going to be a big physical test for him. But you definitely would like to see him show what he's capable of and go out on a winning note in a successful run versus a one and done. And you have to live on that. As far as it. Even though you're in the NBA, you have to look back on your college career, the 2 years as it was, as probably, an underachievement and unsuccessful, other than the fact that it got you to the NBA, which is what, they all personally strive for.
Well, yeah, I don't think it matters to Diamond Stone one way or another whether, he won at Maryland or didn't win at Maryland. Certainly didn't affect Steve Francis or, anybody else that comes through. I mean, that's part of the gig for a guy like Turgeon, and all these guys taking these rental players that they run hard, but they only run so hard, and they're only there for the real reason. And, Zion Williamson putting his foot through the shoe. And, we had Earl Thomas here last week with the Ravens flipping the bird to management because he didn't get paid. Should he go in? Shouldn't he go in? How early should he go? He's not getting paid to play. I mean, all of that goes into all of these kids, but it's also they're not really vested. You know what I mean? Like, you're the coach, you're making all the money, your future rests on these guys, but they're not really all that vested because the only thing that really matters is whether, Atlanta's going to take them or Milwaukee when the draft starts.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a different era. We both have spent some time around Juan Dixon this year with his role at Coppin State and everything. And, I won't say that was the last of that era, but that was definitely, toward the end of it, where the stars would stay 4 years, and they, had that pride in graduating and, talking about their days, their 4 years at Maryland and, or Duke or Carolina in their cases when they.
Well, I mean, they wouldn't raise your name up onto a banner if you didn't stay 4 years, right? So there was all that other pressure of all that came before you, right?
Yeah, now your name barely gets probably ironed on the back of your jersey, for the year that you're there, let alone a banner raised or a permanent locker or anything.
They put it on Scotch tape. Is that what you're Velcro it on?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is, the Velcro, yeah.
Robert Canady is here. Buckets and Birds is the way to follow him out on Twitter. He's doing buckets here as long as they're bucketing, and he will be down at Compass Point Golf doing all things birds and birdie. Hey, we are really close out on all of this, right? Like players and Augusta, and here we go, right? It's golf season in your part of the world.
Yeah, it is. The Rory McIlroy winning the Players this past weekend was, that was a great Sunday there to see so many people, the big names in the hunt coming down the leaderboard, and Rory, one of the biggest names of all, winning it.
Well, it was either that or meaningless basketball for you, right? Like those conference championships, they have programmed that thing right because the conference championships are P and U, right?
Right, yeah. It used to be, you tuned in on that Sunday to see the Big Ten championship game and the SEC championship game.
Like it mattered.
To see it. Yeah, back when it did, now it's all decided by Friday or Saturday, or they know what their seeds are. And, so, yeah, there wasn't too much switching back and forth on it on Sunday, fortunately. It was all golf on Sunday, and, until 6 o'clock or whatever the brackets came on and it turned it on. And, I think Maryland went up kind of early there, I think, right? First, one of the first announcements, so the suspense of that wasn't even too long to find out where they were going to go. But, yeah, the Masters a couple weeks away, so, Tiger, leading through that. He's been playing well. He's been doing better each tournament that he's played this spring, and Rory and
here we go again with that, right? With Tiger, here we go again.
Oh, it's always Tiger. As long as he's putting the ball on the ground, they're going to be talking Tiger. What does he have to do to win? What are his odds? Take Tiger in the field. So it's Tigers in the Masters. We've been hearing about it for 20 years, and heaven forbid we might be hearing about the next 20. So
what's going on at Compass Point? I know you guys down there have been waiting for the thaw. It hasn't been a horrific winter, right? I mean, all things for those of you who will go out on a 45-degree day and sleeve it up and get it going, but we're getting past that point now, and I know you got a bunch of events on the calendar.
Yeah, no, we did. We had a couple days here and there where there was snow for a day or two, and then it seemed to be gone, and we'd get a 50-degree day following it. So it's been a pretty mild winter as far as that goes. So there's been golfers coming in and out, but
there haven't been like long days where you've looked out your window and just seen like snow drifts. You know what I mean? Like we've definitely had some winters where there have been 10 days where you would want to plow out there, not a golf club, right?
Yeah, the snowmobiles instead of the golf carts, and the orange balls instead of the white ones. But no, the weather seems to be making a turn, and we had our Irish Open last weekend that was very successful.
No beer there at the Irish Open, right?
Yeah.
That was a dry event.
So that was really good. I had a big turnout for that, and we have a full slate of stuff beginning, and we'll have a Masters Par 3 contest on Friday of the Masters where people can come out and. We have a few holes set up like the Par 3 contest they do there at Augusta, so there'll be some more fun there, and, that'll just begin a whole summer of fun and everything. Junior clinics, we have a lot of stuff going on with people. There's the junior clinics, junior PGA stuff, so really making a big push this year to get a lot of the kids involved, which is great. We have our new director of instruction, which I'm going to get him on the phone with you from New Zealand, here in the next couple of weeks, so you guys can talk about. I know you have a little connection to New Zealand.
Absolutely. I love the Kiwi people. That'll be fun, and a fun accent as well. Maybe we can talk about, I don't know, split ends or some bands from New Zealand or something like that. Robert Canady is here. He is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. He will be bucketing all weekend, as we all will be, as long as Maryland's in this thing. You mentioned the Towson women and the Maryland women being in the ladies tournament, and that comes to us as well this time of the year. I see it on my timeline. You put the television on, you walk into a sports bar, the ladies are dribbling when the men aren't at this point. Towson getting in, that's kind of a big deal for them, right? I tip my cap. Mike Gathigan's been sending me over the emails and all that good stuff. Towson in the ladies tournament, and certainly not the easiest draw. They drew the legends, right?
Yeah, I mean, go in big, right? It's just a great thing for that program. The men's have had their spotlight for since Gary's been there the last 8 years, and the women hadn't really done that well, obviously. And I had some time spent some time talking to Diane Richardson, the coach, at Media Day earlier this year, and there was something there. I talked to her and one of the players, and I'd be lying if I said I thought they were going to make the tournament, and I didn't follow them that closely this year. But for them to win the CAA tournament was definitely a big thing for that program, and being the first time ever in the women's tournament for them, it's a huge thing, and they'll probably draw some national attention playing Connecticut. I don't know how. I guess it's the first time ever. I didn't realize Connecticut wasn't the number 1 seed for like the first time in my lifetime. It seems like, but going in as the number 2 seed, they're definitely playing one of the storied programs there. So it'll be a great experience for them, and fun for the university and everyone to follow.
Basketball weekend. We got the bracket pools up here. Who's at the top of your pool? I mean, are you a Dookie on this thing, or you have some team that you like that no one else likes, like Tennessee or something like that?
Well, I mean, I'm a Carolina guy. I have been for years and years, and whenever year they're in it, my heart will always pick them, and so I've got them winning it. I don't know if you can call the number 3 seed a dark horse or not, but I like Purdue to make a run. I liked what I saw of them this year in the Big Ten. Obviously, I know that's going out on a limb, the first place team, but they've got the senior leadership there in the backcourt, and a lot of times that's what this tournament comes down to. As far as the guys that have been there 4 years that can kind of keep things under control and everything. So, I like Carolina to win it, but I like Purdue to make a big run as well.
Michigan State kind of gets screwed around. The Big Ten got screwed around on these seeds, right? I've been calling it the NACC all week.
Yeah, Michigan State's another one I've got up there as well, and they've got some really tough draws. And I mean, I don't think there's a coach in America that comes out and likes his seed afterwards. Is those comments were pretty much I guess what you'd expect from them, that, hey, we're there, we got to play.
By the way, Maryland should love their seed. You know what I mean? Like, of all the places they could be to play a team that had to play 2 days ago and come back and play, and then have either team turmoil or, some patsy from the Ivy League. You know what I mean? Like, and then they get to come and play at home? I mean, come on, man. Like, it's a dream draw now, whether they go out and play like garbage over the weekend. But that is all these awful losses to Illinois and not getting out of bed against Penn State and not getting out of bed against Nebraska last week. If their sins have led to this was not a bad, then their sins were not bad. How about that?
No, you're absolutely right. And from all practical purposes, everything you said, it's a great draw and, sets up really well for them. And there's really nothing you can complain about it other than coaches by their nature are going to complain. They'll find something, whether it's, the fact that, they got in the same bracket as Duke or, that maybe the time that they're playing on Thursday being the middle of the day versus, 7 o'clock, throws off their practice and their eating schedule and everything. Coaches always seem to look for that little something to try to, I won't say it be an excuse, but you use, to motivate the players, we got this going against us, so, we've got to stand up against that. But as far as the fans go and everything, the chance to see them at home in 2 weeks and against a team that was in the playoff or the play-in game and, like you said, traveling after, winning and everything. And so it's there, as we said in the very beginning of this conversation, it's there for them to take it. And if they don't, that, I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week, and dissecting it from top to bottom.
He is Robert Canady. He is Buckets and Birds. He's down at Compass Point Golf. He does events down there. He is waiting for golf to begin. It's already begun. We're going to get better weather here over the next week, but he will be preoccupied with basketball. And you can do both. You can actually get out of Compass Point, hit the ball in the morning, and stick around and watch golf all afternoon. That's what they do down at Pasadena. 36 holes, Billy Casper Golf, and CompassPointGolf.com if you want Robert on the Twitter side of things, Buckets and Birds, the way to find him. You can find me out in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships digitally to your email inbox. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's always $5 down, $10 a month, as well as the Maryland Jockey Club. All the jockeying about Preakness, we're going to be talking more and more about that. The entries for Laurel on the front of WNST.net, as well as in our morning newspaper. Any breaking news, and there's been a ton of that, you get it first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday, getting you ready for the weekend for basketball. Of course, getting ready for opening day and the draft. Plenty of things going on around here. I'm headed to the NFL owners' meetings in Arizona this week. You'll definitely want to be following our social media thread as well. I am Nestor, nasty at WNST.net from Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram and streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.